Salutations, my name is Summer and this is Sterling Reads, and I hope everybody is doing well. I am getting over a cold that I've had for a couple of weeks, and so excuse me if I'm still congested, but I'm really excited to be back making videos. I would love to be able to make videos every week, but I'm still working 2 jobs, and so I have been having a hard time balancing everything out. So first up, I want to talk about a couple of booktubers. I was watching Aaron Facer's video, and he was talking about how he had done a buddy read with Alan over at Big Hard Books and Classics, maybe? Sorry if I messed up your channel name. And Floss, or Flossie, over at the Grape Jelly Library. And I was like, oh, what a unique channel name. I haven't heard of her. So I went over to her channel, really enjoyed her video, and subscribed. So I'm looking forward to watching more of her. Another new booktuber that I just found, new to me, is Rachael over at the Budget Book Nerd. I've only watched, I don't know how many videos she has up. I don't think she has all that many, maybe 10 or so. But I've watched a couple of hers and really enjoyed, I don't know, she has like a calmness, and I really enjoy her videos. So anybody I mentioned, plus all the books I mentioned today, I will link down below or right in the description box. Okay, so another thing, I want to say congratulations to Mark over at Book Time with Elvis. He now has 1,000 subscribers, yay! Also, I want to say happy 1-year anniversary to Micah Cummings. He's been on Booktube now for a year, and he made a really nice video about it. So, like I said, I'm linking everybody down below. Go check them out. Somebody else I want to mention is, I'll get to the books in a minute. So March of the Mammoths is one of my favorite reading events. I love big books. I've finished a Mammoth already this year, and I started it though in December, so it's not like I've read 2 Mammoths already this year, but I did start Les Miserables in January, and I finished it in February, so I absolutely loved it. Anyway, so I'm all about Mammoths. I should count how many I read last year. I haven't done that yet. That is the nice thing about Storygraph, is I can go in and I bet I could I could link on my graph and see how many books were over a certain amount. Anyway, back on track. I wanted to mention, so the 2 hosts are Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, and Alex at Big Al Books. And I think one of my favorite things about March of the Mammoths is that I've been subscribed to Alex for a long time now. And at first she came out with like all these videos. I was like so excited. And then it's like she disappeared, and she has just been, she has a video here and there, but most of the time it's like, I know when March of the Mammoths comes around that I'll get to see a video of her and kind of hear like what's, what she's been reading, or kind of like a life update, and see her 2 pugs if they're in there, which, you get to see, if you watch people for a while, you get to see their animals get older, and yeah, it's, anyway, I just really enjoy her channel, and I look forward to March of the Mammoths, not only for the big books, but I know we'll get a video from her, hopefully, or hopefully a couple. Okay, so what have I read in February? I was trying to think about what month it was. So I read Les Miserables. I finished Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This was a buddy read with Mark over at Book Time with Elvis and Sonja. And Sonja doesn't have a channel yet, but I'm really hoping that someday she does, because I just think she's wonderful as a buddy reader, and I really enjoy hearing her thoughts, and I think it'd be wonderful to be able to watch and hear her at the same time. So maybe someday we'll get lucky. Anyway, this book, I've talked about this book, I feel like every time I've made a video. One thing I want to say, I know it's huge, and my copy's falling apart, unfortunately, and it's brand new, so I could have a complaint about that. But this book, I know it's going to sound absolutely crazy, but I wish it was longer. I want to know more about these characters. I wish we would have had more time. Now, I kind of feel like this might be a little spoilery, but I'm going to try not to be. I'm just going to talk about some characters because some characters come and go. But I really wish we would have more time with the bishop because I fell in love with him so quickly, and his sister, and I say maid because she was like a servant, but she really was like family. I wanted to spend more time with him. There is a character, G, that we just got a tiny bit about, and I wanted to know more of his story, like what happened to him in life that made him feel the way he does when it came to the end, because we only got to meet that character at the end. Fantine, I'm happy with what we got with her. I'm happy with what we got with Cosette and Marius. I really wanted to know more about the cop. I call him, so I read this, I did not listen to it, so I mispronounce all the names. I'm horrible with anything French. I called him Javert like through the whole thing, and I know that's wrong, but anyway, he was one of the deplorable, like horrible characters that really make a book come together. Like you need to have like bad guys and people who you just like, and he was one of them, and I really wanted to know more insight about his mind and his life because we didn't get anything really private about him, and I would have liked to have more of that. Jean Valjean, I absolutely loved him. I was so happy to get as much as we did get of him. So anyway, this has become an all-time favorite. I would like to make a new list of my top 10 favorite books. I know this will be on it because it just, I don't know, it just like kind of like swept me away, and I fell in love with it instantly. I knew within the first couple of pages when they were talking about the bishop, which, like I've said before, I'm a sucker for a bishop. I knew I was falling in love with it. Okay, the other Mammoth, which I finished in February, but I started reading it in December, I believe, was The Eighth Life. And the author, I do not know how to pronounce her name. I made a mistake before when I was talking about this book. I said it was a mother telling a daughter their family line, and it's not. It's an aunt telling her niece, Brilka, about the family line. And I said, I thought it said for Brilka. It does on the side. There it does. And on the inside it does. So she's telling this story. This book has every single trigger. So if you have a hard time with that, I wouldn't recommend this book to you. But anybody else who loves historical fiction, I would, family stories. Oh my gosh, this book I absolutely loved. Fantastic. There's a lot of suffering. There's, like I had said before, I've talked about this book in my past videos, so I feel like I'm just repeating myself. There's like a curse. The family make this chocolate that they carry on down the line, which I really like because my family, we have recipes from the early 1900s that, like, we have the same wedding cake. Like everybody has down the line, we've had the same cake for our wedding, and it's almost like a hummingbird cake, but not quite. It's different. So anyway, so I love that. I loved all these strong female characters. The male characters, not so much. They kind of were kind of the same in this sense, but not really. I mean, what can you say? But I absolutely love this book. I recommend it, but if you do have a hard time about heavy subjects and hard subjects, you might not want to read this. Okay, so another book I read in February was Travels with Charley, and this is by John Steinbeck, and this is his story of traveling across America with his poodle. He's like a blue-gray type poodle, Charley. And Steinbeck is older. I want to say it was in the early 60s, maybe late 50s. I don't really remember. So, you know, you see a lot of just so much, you know, when he goes to the Deep South, of course, racism, which racism is everywhere, but there are some great stories in here of him traveling and what he sees. And he sees, you know, a lot of good people, and then he sees a lot of, you know, people you wish you could just pass by. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. Did I say I read this with Mark over at Book Time with Elvis? Sorry, I'm still a bit tired. Anyway, it's great. Great book, great buddy read. And the other physical copy of a book that I finished was, this is actually really titled The Midwife. When they turned it into a series, they called The Midwife because I guess that sounded more popular. Anyway, this is by Jennifer Worth. I have 2 cats playing underneath my chair, wrestling around if you hear any kind of squealing. So anyway, I thought this was wonderful. I have not seen the show. My mom has, but I have not watched the show. Absolutely love this. So each chapter is a different story about, it's like a woman is inviting you into her bedroom and she is sharing those intimate moments with you. So you have all these different stories about there's a lot of abuse that has been going on. This is her memoirs, so she's actually talking about back when she was a midwife and like kind of working for the nuns and everything. And oh my gosh, somebody's just got a hold of my sock, and of course it's Sterling. But anyway, I absolutely love this. It was there's so many different heartbreaking stories. There's a couple of like inspirational type, miracle type stories, but another thing, if you like historical fiction, but it's not historical fiction, it's a memoir. I recommend that one. That's the thing, I've been loving everything I've been reading. So I'm going to mention 3 ebooks. Right? No, I'm going to mention 2 ebooks that I have to thank Nathan for. So thank you so much, Nathan, if you're watching. But one of them, and here I don't even have it. I was going to show them to you on my phone, but like I said, I will write all my the books that I'm reading on my in the description down below. Well, I guess this is kind of showing it. There it is. Okay, so Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I read this. I absolutely loved it. It had so much. Well, she's a scientist, and I want to say the 50s. That's the thing about reading so many things. It's easy to forget exactly the dates, and I'm not good at any of this stuff. So, yeah. Absolutely loved it. It was a complete surprise. When I saw that cover, I was kind of like, oh, this will be something kind of light and fluffy, and it was not. It is about feminism. It's about women being independent, making it on their own in a time where it was more difficult to do that. So absolutely loved it, Nathan. Thank you so much. It was not even on my radar to read before you sent it to me. Another book that I finished early on in February was Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I'm on that book buying ban, so I knew I wasn't going to be getting this book for a long time because it takes a long time to get it from the library. You know, those new popular books. But Nathan sent it to me, so I was able to read it a lot earlier than I expected. And I love Stephen King. I know people have a lot of complaints about him, about certain things, but I don't. So in the very beginning of this book, it's a story about this boy who it's about this older man who's got kind of like I got another cat trying to come in. Okay, I gotta get my thoughts straight. So it really is about a boy who ends up getting this dog through this older gentleman he starts helping. And then halfway through the book, you get to, there's a magical land that he goes, there's like a shed outside, and he ends up going down these stairs and taking the dog with him. And guys, anyway, so then you have that like magical realism happening. But in the beginning of the book, it feels very real, you know, like Misery, or what are some other, Dolores Claiborne, or you know, like it feels very like real to life. And then it goes into you know how Stephen King does it, kind of like in The Shining, where it starts to turn and you're thinking, is this like what's going on here? So anyway, I loved it, thought it was wonderful. So thank you, Nathan. Let's see, the last thing I finished, I listened to an audiobook called Grown by Tiffany Jackson. And I ended up ordering the physical copy from the library, and I see it's coming in for my niece just in case she wanted to read it. It was about a woman called Enchanted. I say woman, she's 17, so she was at that, you know, young woman age, and she was wanting to be I think she wanted to be kind of like a famous music, like rap star type, you know, R&B rap musician. And she meets this man who I want to say is kind of like an R. Kelly type, and there's a lot of abuse. I really enjoyed her I want to say writing, even though I didn't read it, I listened to it, because it takes you back and forth. Like when it's almost startling when you first start the book, because you are in, you know, kind of like the future. I guess you're in the like right now, and then she takes you back to the beginning, and then every once in a while she'll slip you back into the present. But it was a great story. I mean, it's something that I feel like happens quite a bit. You know, you can get into abusive relationships, but hers is even more of like a kidnap, and when you're with somebody in that high of power, the things that you're forced to do. And that was also in The Eighth Life. There was a story of one of the women in the family that got into a situation like that. So anyway, I loved everything I read this month, or finished this month. So what I'm currently reading, I am now doing a buddy read with Jacquie over at Jacquie Lou's Booktube. She does not make videos yet, but I'm always hoping that she will. And Peg at the history shelf. My brain. Anyway, we've been wanting to read this for years. This is by C.J. Sansom. This is the first book in a series. I started it last night. I'm not that far along. I'm on chapter 8, which is page 94. Really enjoying this. So this is about, I want to say his first name is Matthew Shardlake, and he's a lawyer, and he's like 35 years old, and he is a hunchback. And which I'm so intrigued now, because to be able to move up, like he was rejected from being like a priest or in the religious society because of his hunchback. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this so far. I haven't said anything to Jacquie or Peg about it. But yeah, I'm so glad I'm finally getting to read this with the two of them. So another buddy read that I'm reading this with Mark over at Book Time with Elvis and Shawn D. Standfast. And they are way ahead of me. I am on page 134. I have not picked this up because I made the mistake of picking up my Mammoths. But this is so good also. And I think now that I'm into 134 pages, I think it's going to be about these two men who are friends and how their lives are going in different directions, and how they handle where they stand in society and their relationships and stuff. So it's about David and Lucian, but then you have Lucien's sister Eve in here too, and the man that Lucien's in love with, Louise. So yeah, I am really enjoying this writing and the story and everything. So I'm enjoying that. I'm saying enjoying way too much. Another book I got from the library, which I need to get back into this. So Brandy over at the Book Collectic, she has been on a dinosaur kick, and I was watching Mark and Shawn's live, and they had Brandy on there. I don't even know when this was, because I watch videos later than when they come out because of time. But anyway, I finally was watching their live, and she was talking about all these dinosaur books, and so I was like looking through the library, and this came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am in such of a mood to read about dinosaurs. This, I'm not very far into it. Oh, I need to put a real bookmark in here so that way I can find. I'm on chapter 3 on page 60. But this is fascinating so far. When he talks about the fossils that he finds and how the animal probably got to be where they are, how they died. I don't know. I get this like feeling, and I can't even explain it. But so it's by Phillip Manning, and it's called Grave Secrets of Dinosaurs, and it's soft tissue and hard science. And you know, we still don't know very much. Like, they found a fossil that had of a dinosaur who had 3 different types of feathers, and they're like, oh well, they weren't supposed to have these types of feathers at this time, so it goes farther back than what we thought. And also not knowing like what the colors the dinosaurs were, we just assume that there's certain colors, but we're just assuming. So there was a story, they found this fossil, and I am horrible with dinosaur names, but it was a dinosaur that was in the water, and she was in the process of giving birth. She had 4 babies in her, and one was in her canal, getting ready to come out. And they found her fossil in that position, like in that situation. And so they don't know if she was so exhausted she couldn't get up to get air, or what happened to her that she died while giving birth. So I don't know. I'm absolutely loving this. So I need to get back to that. I'm taking it with me to work tonight. So my mammoth is A Column of Fire by Ken Follett. Last year, I think it was last year, he came out with the prequel, something about the morning and the evening. I might have that title wrong. And everybody said, oh no, read A Column of Fire and then go back and read the prequel. I didn't do that. I went ahead and read the prequel, and now I'm reading the final book. This is 900... Oh no, it's 885 pages. So it fits for a mammoth, and I'm so excited to finally get to this. I'm so excited that I made the mistake of picking it up a couple days ago, and I'm already on page 316 because I love Ken Follett. I love the Kingbridge. I keep wanting to say trilogy, but now that we have the prequel, which the prequel actually felt very different to me. Love all 4 books. I mean, what I've read so far, I know I'm gonna love it. But the prequel felt very different. It was more action-packed. So going into that, if you start with a prequel, know that when you get to the Pillars of Earth, it will be at a slower pace, which I like slow, big books, so it didn't matter to me. But if you read The Morning and the Evening, I can't remember exactly the title, just know A Pillar of Earth is going to slow you down and take you into the story in a different way. So anyway, I'm loving this. I have 2 other, so I'm not going to talk about all the books I'm going to read. I'm already 24 minutes in. But I do want to mention 2 other mammoths that I'm going to read. I am in the process of reading a couple other things that are ebooks, but I'm not going to talk about them. Hopefully I'm going to be able to make a video every single week. I'd like to, but we'll see how that goes. So 2 other mammoths I would like to get to. This bad boy I picked up a couple of years ago. This is Parting the Waters by Taylor Branch. I only got to page 60. This was recommended by Jack over at the Rambling Racketeur. I will link him down below. And it's like it says, America in the King years, 1954 to 63. That's not true. It starts way before that. It starts way, way earlier than 1954, because I'm not to 1954 yet, I don't believe. And I'm on page 60. So, but it'll get me there eventually. I'm really enjoying it. I didn't know Martin Luther King, his real name, his birth name wasn't Martin. Like, his father changed his name and then he changed his name. And you get to hear about his parents, his father and mother, and where they come from and their families. So yeah, I'm wanting to just get back into it and start reading that again. And another, I'm counting this as a mammoth. It is 793 pages. And I've been wanting to read this for a long time. And it's Eirlan by Liam O'Sheill. I started it and got to page 24. I'm going to restart it, those 24 pages, because I don't really remember. I remember it being about a brother and a sister, and the sister is as much as a warrior, it sounds like, as the brother. But that's all I really know about it. So I'm going to have to start that over with us today. Okay, so I'm on that 500 book challenge where I don't buy any books, because a lot of people, you make your own rules, but my rule was I don't buy any books until I read 500. I have been on this challenge for 103 days. I just want to put that out there. And I broke down and bought 3 books. One of them was Lost Illusions by Balzac, which I'm buddy reading with Mark and Shawn. And the other 2 books I picked, and I bought that on Abe's Books for $6. That's with shipping and tax and everything. And then I went to Goodwill the other day, a couple weeks ago, and they were $2 a piece. And so I picked up 2 books. I own 4 books of his. Edward Rutherford. This is The Princess of Eirlan. I have not read any of them. I do not know why. Every time I see his name in a book, I feel like I need to pick it up, since I have not read anything of his. I wanted to read that Sansom. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that, this month, and it's not going to happen. And the other book that I bought was The Civil War and 50 Objects by Harold Holzer. And yeah, I love any Civil War type, history type stuff. So for $2 for this hardback, which is like brand new, guys, I couldn't pass it up. So I need to get back on track. And I feel like for me, that's not that bad. You know, I've been working 2 jobs. I got a lot of my debt paid off already. I feel like, it's all right. I broke the rules a little bit. So, anyway, let me know what you guys are planning to read. Are you even going to read a mammoth this month? Or there's a lot of different things going. There's so many different things, and it gets more and more and more. I just don't know how people keep up with everything. But anyway, hopefully I'll make a video next week letting you know how I'm doing with my reading. And I look so much forward to your comments. I hope you're all doing well. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.